Hello guys, welcome to Research Made Easy. And in today's video, I'm going to discuss to you how to write the introduction for scientific journal. This is actually part 3 of a series of how to write a paper in scientific journal. So let's move on. So number one, what is the function of the introduction? So the introduction establishes the context of the work being reported or studied. This is actually accomplished by discussing the relevant primary research literature, of course with citations, and summarizing the current understanding of the problem you are investigating. Next is, it states the purpose of the work in the form of hypothesis, question, or problem you investigated. And last, it explains briefly the rationale and approach, and whenever possible, the possible outcomes your study can reveal. So in writing the introduction, you must answer the following questions. Number one, what was I studying? Number two, why was it an important question? Number three, what did we know about it before I did the study? And lastly, how will this study advance our knowledge? For the style, in writing the introduction, use the active voice as much as possible. So for example, the researchers gathered the data personally, that is in active voice, while personally the data was gathered by the researchers is in passive voice. So always remember that in writing the introduction, use the active voice of the verb. For the structure of the introduction can be thought of as an inverted triangle. The broadest part at the top representing the most general information and focusing down to the specific problem you studied. You have to organize the information to present the more general aspects of the topic early in the introduction, then narrow toward more specific topical information that provides context, finally arriving at your statement of purpose and rationale. A good way to get back on track is to sketch out the introduction backwards. So you start with a specific purpose and then decide what is the scientific context in which you are asking the questions. Once the scientific context is decided, then you have a good sense of what level and type of general information with which the introduction should begin. Now here is the information flow of how your introduction should be written. So number one is begin the introduction with a clear identification of the subject area of interest. So you do this by keywords from your title in the first few sentences of the introduction to get it focused directly on the topic at the appropriate level. Number two, establish the context by providing a brief and balanced review of the pertinent published literature that is available on the subject. The key is to summarize for the reader what we knew about the specific problem before you did your experiments or studies. This is accomplished with a general review of the primary research literature with citations, but should not include very specific, lengthy explanation that you will probably discuss in greater detail later in the discussion. Number three is, what literature should you look for in your review of what you know about the problem? Focus your efforts on the primary research journals, the journals that publish original research articles. Although you may read some general background references such as encyclopedias, textbooks, lab manuals, style manuals, etc. to get yourself acquainted with the subject area, do not cite these because they contain information that is considered fundamental or common knowledge within the discipline. Cite instead articles that reported specific results relevant to your study. Next is clearly state the purpose or hypothesis that you investigated. When you are first learning to write in this format, the actually preferable to use a pat statement like the purpose of this study was to, or we investigated three possible mechanisms to explain the blah blah blah. Okay, so it is not necessary for or desirable to use words hypothesis or null hypothesis since these are usually implicit if you clearly state your purpose and expectations. The last one is you have to provide a clear statement of the rationale for your approach to the problem studied. For example, state briefly how you approach the problem. For example, you studied oxidative respiration pathways in isolation, blah, blah, blah. This will usually follow your statement of purpose in the last paragraph of the introduction. Why did you choose this kind of experiment or experimental design? What are the scientific merits of this particular model system? And what advantages does it confer in answering the particular questions you are posing? So that's all, guys, for the introduction. Again, thank you for subscribing. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video. And if you have um, some topics that you would like me to discuss, please feel free to comment on the comment section. Thank you.